So Ozum, you are the next one on my list. Thanks.
Hi everyone, it's Ozum Arzik Erzurumlu. I'm teaching community interpreting and conference interpreting in this program. I also designed a new course on translation and culture. So welcome everyone. I'm also serving as a conference interpreter for the last 2 decades. And I've interpreted the US president since Bush era. My languages are Turkish A, English B, and Spanish C. We would like to have you as our students in the future. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ozum. And Rinaldo, you are the next one.
Hi, I'm Reynaldo Pagura. The name is unusual anywhere. It's actually Polish. I'm basically an interpreter, and I've been teaching interpreting since 1990. I know I've been an interpreter since 1990. I just began teaching in 98. My colleagues must be fed up with hearing this. And I'm basically an English, Portuguese, Spanish, French interpreting. My two main languages are really Portuguese and English, but I work without any problems from Spanish and French. So in our program, I taught, and I will be teaching this spring again, what we call the theories class 410, which is a required class for everyone, where we try to give you an overview of both translation and interpreting theories, okay, historically and currently. Hope to
Thank
see
you, Rinaldo.
again. No, just saying hope to see you again in class.
Thanks. And last but not least, Sophie, would you please? Thank you.
Thank you, Melody. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to see you here. My name is Sophie Benmeni Schuler. I am, like Professor Erzurumlu and Professor Pagura, also an interpreter, well, conference interpreter more. And my language combination is A, Spanish, B, German, and C language, C, English, not language, or the English language.
It's not C's. Oh, Sophie, come on. You're at least a double B or a double A.
Yeah, that's where yeah, probably. Maybe I'll have
Very humble.
And yeah, I've been working with my other two wonderful interpreting colleagues in the ISB project, which is a project that was we've been working on it since 2023. There you go, where we train people in the state of Illinois to become qualified interpreters who work in the public schools here in our state. And I'm very happy to see you, and hopefully we'll see you, as Professor Berger has said, more often. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks. Thank you everyone for the introduction. And so we have some other registrants who couldn't be here today. So that's another reason we want to record the session, and I will share the recording later with every registrant of the event. Okay, so then it will be my turn. I will present the information, and feel free to stop me. Yeah, just put up your hand or just shout out. Let me know if you have any questions. So I'm going to share my screen, just a second.
Melody, could you give me just half a minute to say why I interfered with Sophia's introduction? Interpreters call A language your native language, B language your strong foreign language, and C language is the language you understand well, but you not interpret into. And that's why I was saying Sophie was being very humble by saying that her English is C, and I would dare say she's a double A or almost a triple A English, German, and Spanish. And Ozum shook her head to agree with me, right?
It's good to be
thank you for the
right
clarification.
Thank you.
That's very amazing. Yeah.
No.
I hope I can speak more languages. Um,
Thank you, everyone.
okay. Okay. So can you all see my screen? Everything good? Okay. So for the presentation today, so there are two parts. The first one, we will talk about the program information, and then the second part will be the application process. So for the part one, the program information, the program overview. So I basically talk about some of our the unique features of our program, and also program requirements, like how many courses you need to take, and some major courses requirements for the degree, and also make some comparison between similarities and differences between the online and on-campus cohorts. As some of you may not be familiar, we offer the program in two different modes. And the next will be something some may be very concerned about the cost, like how much the program costs for both online and on-campus cohorts. And the last one for the part one, Dr. Phillips will talk about the career possibilities, because she has been in the program for quite long, and she knows our alumni very well. So that would be the part for her to talk about the career possibilities. Okay. So the first we know, so first I would like to introduce the program. I will invite our program director, Dr. Shostad, to briefly introduce the university first, because we are the Translation and Interpreting Studies program with the University of Illinois. So Ron, would you like to go ahead?
Thank you. The University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign is a large, research-intensive public university, and it's the flagship campus of the University of Illinois system. It offers more than 100 graduate and professional programs across 16 schools and colleges, with over 20,000 graduate students and a remarkable international community. Nearly 40% of our graduate students are from outside the United States. For on-campus students, if you choose to be an on-campus member of our community, Illinois combines a Big Ten campus environment with a mid-sized, affordable college town. Champaign-Urbana has active arts and music scene, extensive libraries, museums, and cultural events. And it's also easy to navigate and well-connected by train, bus, and air to Chicago and other major cities. For online graduate students, Illinois has a long experience with distance education, offering dozens of online and hybrid graduate programs. That infrastructure translates into reliable learning platforms, strong library access at a distance, and plenty of student services that are designed to be reachable to you from anywhere in the world. In other words, we're good at doing online education if that's something that you're interested in. Whether students join from campus or online, they will become part of a global graduate community with substantial support from our graduate college here locally in plenty of areas, all within a university that sees itself as a land-grant institution with a mission of public engagement and global impact. If I got any of the numbers wrong, I pulled them from the most recent sources that I could find, but the university is definitely a growing and changing place, and you're very welcome to join us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, I know the numbers are changing like every year, big numbers. And also I know like everyone is so proud of our library. That's the top 3, I guess, in the US. Yeah, big library, very nice library there. And the good news, you have access to the library resources, even when you are doing the program via online. So you have a lot of, you can have access to all the resources there. So for the, I would like to showcase some of our major or unique features of the program. So the first one we're very proud is the multilingual approach we take towards the program. So for the program, we basically, the core faculty members work very closely with the School of Languages, Cultures and Linguistics. So for example, if we have some affiliate members from the different language programs, like from linguistics or other language programs, and also we have language support specialists who are working together with us. So currently, our core faculty members can support those languages I listed here, like 12, I believe 12, because sometimes we have the change of stuffing, the numbers will be changing. But those are the core, or we can see the primary language we can support, like Arabic, Chinese, Czech, French, all those 12 languages. And with other languages, if you don't see the languages listed here, and if you want to work in a language like English plus another language, which is not listed here, we always encourage like prospective students to reach out. So it's possible. We cannot guarantee, but it's very possible. We will arrange some instructional support for your language. So that's something I want to mention. And the other thing, amazing thing about the program is like, once you're in the classroom, you may have classmates from various language backgrounds. So your classmates may be working in English, French, or English, Spanish, or English, German, you name it, all the major languages here. That's something I want to point out. So the next one is about the second feature is about the 2 modes. So we offer the program in 2 different modes. So one is online and the other is on campus. Sorry, I saw someone in the waiting room. Ron, would you mind to admit someone from the waiting room? Thanks. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we offer our program in 2 modes, online and on campus. So they have the same core courses, the requirements are the same, the instructors are same, just like for the same course, we split them into the online section and on-campus section. And the requirements are the same, the course content the same. So by the end, you got the same degree, same diploma, or same transcript. So there's no distinction between online or on campus. It will be a pure like master degree in translation and interpreting studies. And so for both online and on-campus modes, our courses are mostly offered in like synchronous sessions, which means even though you join the online session, you need to join the class lively, which is what we highly recommend the students to do that, because you can have the real-time interaction with your instructors, with your peers. That's the best way for learning. But sometimes, for example, we have some online students. Sometimes if you cannot make to the class, so the instructor may try their best to accommodate their request, but it's not guaranteed, or we don't, like I said, we don't encourage students to take the asynchronous session. You can watch the recording, but you may not benefit the most from the class sessions. And the other one will be a dual mode. What we talk about dual mode is like for some smaller classes, sometimes both online and on-campus students will join the class together. On-campus students in a classroom and online students via the Zoom or other platforms. So that's the kind of basic information about online and on-campus modes. So the third one is what we are always proud. We offer 3 different areas of specialization. So which means once you're in the program, you can choose at least one, you need to choose at least one area to focus on. So we have literature translation, interpreting, and professions. And for literature translation, it should be very straightforward, right? Like novels or poems, like short stories or essays translation. So the focus would be more on, like, for example, the rhythm or the tones or about literature stuff. So for literature translation, it would be more kind of interpretive and creative as well, right? For literature translation. And all the rest of the written translation, we kind of group them together as translation for professions. So for example, it can include the traditional translation for the different text types, let's say legal documents, technical translation or medical translation. And also we have some other things within this bigger area, like terminology, the technical part about translation industry. So the terminology, the term-based creation or maintenance, all the stuff. And also we have CAT tools, which is computer-assisted translation. And a very popular course is localization as well, which is very popular in the field as well. So yeah, so those are, and the other one is the audiovisual translation, which is the major part of the translation for professions as well. And for interpreting, I think it should be very straightforward, or the oral production part, right? So for interpreting, we have both conference and we offer courses in conference interpreting and community interpreting as well. And so students in those classes, they can practice in different interpreting settings, like medical ones or legal ones. Yeah, so those are the three different areas. And we encourage students to specialize in more than one area, but at least you should focus on one area of specialization. So those are the very features we are very proud about the program, the multilingual approach, and the three areas and the two different modes about the program. And next, yeah, before I move on to the program requirements, any questions so far? So for the program requirements, I will talk about, so basically we can break them into required courses, area courses, and elective courses. And I will focus on the capstone project, which is actually one of the required courses. So to complete the degree, students need to take at least 8 courses. So of all the 8 courses, 4 of them are required. 2 are the area courses. Let's say you focus on interpreting, so you need to take at least 2 courses in interpreting. And the other 2, remaining 2, will be electives. So electives can be maybe an additional area course, and you can choose one out of your area of specialization. Yeah, so that's what the requirements are. So this is a quick summary of both online and on-campus MA program requirements. As we mentioned at the beginning, for both modes, the requirements are the same. So you take 8 courses in total, and each course is worth of like 4 credits. So that means 32 credits for the degree. And yeah, so it can be completed as a full-time student like in 2 years. So we offer courses in 2 semesters every year, spring, fall, but not in the summertime. So in that way, that means to be a full-time student, you need to take 2 courses at least per semester. But this is the minimum requirement for online students. If you are choosing to be an on-campus student, you need to take at least 3 courses. So for the 3 courses, 2 are for our program, and the third one is just up to you. You can take any courses you like, because the third one is kind of like the requirement for the university to maintain your full-time student status. But to complete the degree, the minimum requirement, 2 courses. And yeah, and the other one, as we mentioned, you can also choose to be a part-time. So this option will be available for online students only, not for on-campus. So for online, you can choose to do part-time. Like currently, we have a few students have been working part-time on a degree, so they may take 1 course per semester. But yeah, so that's something I want to mention here. Of course, if you choose to be part-time, the total length will be at least doubled if you take like 1 course per semester. So this is a typical course plan, like if we break that down by semester. And so normally in the summertime before the fall semester starts, I will reach out to every newly admitted student with a course plan based on their preferred like area of specialization. So for the first semester, normally the first semester is the fall semester. So for the first semester, students may take 407 with apostrophe. This is one of the required courses, which is the terminology. So 407, and then you can choose the second one, maybe an area course. If you're focusing on, let's say, literary, maybe you choose one for literary translation. And the second semester will be for 10, which is the basic theory course, like introduction to translation and also interpreting, and the secondary course. And the third semester, normally students will have the freedom to take any elective courses they like. And the last semester is kind of like firm. Students need to take 500 and 540. So 540 is what we talk about, the capstone project. So the capstone project is a course, is a 1 semester course. Yeah, just give me a second, sorry, but so slow. So the course plan is not the only way. This is a recommended course plan, but of course students can kind of play around with certain courses. But I always remind students to double check with me before they make any changes to make sure they can complete all the required courses on time. So any questions so far? Okay.
It looks like there's a question in the chat, Melody, from
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
A second. Yep, I've done. So students you enrolled this year who started in the fall semester have registered last year. So sorry, sorry, how to pronounce your name? Sorry. It doesn't mean like the students who registered last year, which means they applied for the program last year. If you want to join the program, let's say starting from the fall semester next year, you need to apply this year. Sorry, Ryan, my throat is kind of bothering me a lot.
No, it's okay. Melody and I had discussed this earlier. She's very
Yeah, sorry, I
courageously
got a coffee
decided
and like
that
what's that
we would
like
go-
hard to control.
we would go on with the show today, so we'll do our best. So I'll just kind of try to go through it, Melody, and as you are able, feel free to fill in the blanks, okay?
Could I
Sure,
just fill
thanks.
in on the previous question, just
Sure.
so we're clear? The question was, have students who are entering in the fall, or did students entering in the fall register in the spring? That's usually what you do if you're already completing your first year. But if you're accepted into the program, usually you don't get your acceptance in letter until the spring. So most students are at that point registering for classes over the summer. I hope that clears up your question. And then I think that there was another part of that question I thought we started in the spring. Normally the program is designed for people to start in the fall. There have been some exceptions made for people to start in the spring, but normally it's designed for people to start in the fall. So I just want to make sure, did I answer your, did we answer your question?
Looks like a yes.
Okay.
Great. So Melody, how do you feel? You want me to talk for a little while?
Would you mind to take it over? I'm
that's-
afraid like when I start talking, it will be
No.
nonstop.
No problem at all. No problem at all. So
Yeah, thanks.
yeah, so as far as our online or on-campus modes are concerned, you have kind of different options if you're in the online world. You have the part-time option that you don't have if you're on campus. Obviously, there are benefits as far as being in person versus being far away. Traditionally, we have had plenty of students on both sides. I think more recently, we see students participating in the online version of the program. It's less expensive. And And of course, being on campus has its own benefits as far as being part of a university community in person. But, you know, if you're online, you're also part of a community. It's just a different kind of community, right? So we're all negotiating this together, these changes that are taking place across higher education and throughout society. But you're welcome to join the program either way. And we leave it up to you to kind of figure out what's best for you. But we're happy to answer any questions that you have. I think what's most important to understand is that it's the same program. You learn the same concepts, you interact with the same professors, you just do it through different modes. And in one case, the case for the online program, you might do it at a reduced rate. That is to say, as a part-time option, it might take you longer to finish the program than it would in person, but you can also do it at the full speed and finish in the same amount of time. So it's not necessarily the case that it takes longer to do the online program. Sound good, Melody?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
have because of the online option, we have students from different time zones, like from Europe, from Asia, from North America for sure. Yeah.
Right. And as Melody says, so I'll just pick up from that, Melody. I'm not to step on your toes, but I take it you're giving me hints for what I should continue talking about for a moment or two longer, is that our faculty really do make the effort to try to accommodate those of you who are in different time zones. And it tends to work out pretty well within reason. And so we just kind of our faculty are very flexible, have been very gracious to be available, and we will do everything we can to make sure that the courses are available to you online at the times that are practical. You know, we appreciate the fact that people will try to work together to come to a solution about reasonable times, and so everybody can essentially meet together.
Thank you, Ryan. So
All right.
the next slide, yeah, wanna go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So this just kind of breaks down the costs for you. The cost of the tuition cost that you'd pay to the university for the experience and the education here. For the online students, you can see the rate per AY. AY stands for academic year. So as a 2-year program, nominally, you can see the value for the online program in the 2 years, 39,584. And then you see the 3 different options for on campus. So there are residents, there are non-residents, and there are international categories. So by resident, we mean resident of Illinois, of the state of Illinois. Non-residents are domestic students, that is to say, students in the United States who are not residents of the state of Illinois. And then international students, obviously, are students who come from outside the United States. So these designations are worked out essentially with your own particular characteristics. We don't get involved in negotiating exactly what counts or what doesn't count. Those are services that are provided for us by campus that kind of vets your record and asks for whatever documentation it is that you need in order to substantiate that you, for example, are a resident of the state of Illinois. Given that that's the least expensive option, you have to present some evidence that that's the case, et cetera. So we'd be happy to answer more specific questions about it, but I think it's fairly self-evident.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
And the next one for the career possibilities, as I mentioned at the beginning, we will invite our faculty member, Patricia Phillips, to elaborate on this part. Thank you, Patricia.
Okay, thanks, Melody. Okay, just a couple things about career possibilities. If you could advance to the next slide, thanks a lot. Yeah, when I was asked to talk about this, I started categorizing all the options and making lists and so forth. So what you see here is a slide with a lot of different categories and career possibilities, but it is not exhaustive, okay? Because somebody's going to say to me, oh, you forgot to talk about this or that. So if I do forget to talk about something, please forgive me, but I will try to get through what I have to say here, and just to give you an idea of the variety of different kinds of careers you can pursue in the translation and interpreting industry, largely, or language services industry, largely or broadly conceived. First, I want to start with this idea of freelance. So if you want to be a translator, somebody who's, working with text of different kinds, we're not talking about like necessarily, we could be talking about books, talking about medical records, all kinds of different genres. You can be a freelance translator. And you can be a freelance interpreter. Those are two options. That means that you handle your own, you incorporate yourself in using some kind of a business model, and there are many options out there for that to happen. And then you begin to advertise your services. And of course, we talk about how translators advertise their services to the world. And you work as a contractor, basically, right? So if you're a freelance translator, very often the way that your day will go is you will work at home. You might be up early in the morning because you might be checking for emails or inquiries from Europe or other countries. So you're working in a global world. You're not working in a local world. You're working globally. And you might be doing things like technical, medical, legal translation. You might be doing commercial translation or other kinds. And a lot of those specialized discourses, those translation jobs might be contracted to you through translation companies. That's really where the world is going. There's a lot of big translation companies, and they contract with translators. At the same time, there are still translators who have what we call direct clients. So they have a direct relationship with, say, a small company or an individual or a research group or something along those lines. Now, if you are a literary translator, you will probably also be doing what we refer to as contract work. A lot of people think that there's this big difference between literary and other translation. There's people who argue that there isn't. However, a lot of people who do literary translation do it in combination with other kinds of translation. And of course, I wanted to point out there's audio-visual translation and something called localization, which is a type of translation. Okay, so interpreters, on the other hand, they might work in different settings, education, courts, hospitals, like medical settings, not necessarily hospitals, also clinics, things like that. The community, broader spaces in the community, and they might work at conferences as well. So interpreters, depending on where they live, might have a different variety of opportunities. Of course, there's people who do remote interpreting. So that when you do remote interpreting, it doesn't depend so much on where you live. The other option is an in-house job. I know a lot of people are interested in in-house jobs. You might find in-house jobs in the language service companies, right? So you might be a project manager. A lot of our students have gone on to be project managers in translation companies. You might be the department head in a translation company of some specialized unit in that company, such as localization. And I'm giving examples of where our students have gone. So we have people who are actually localization managers inside translation companies. You might be a staff translator in a translation company. That's also an option. Or you might move into sales but because of your training, you know the product, so you can be a very good salesperson. You might be working in a hospital. That's another option. There's people who work as we have had students who have gone on to become head of language services in major hospital systems, very, very large hospital systems. There are jobs in the government with the FBI, the U.S. Department of State, the CIA, the NSA, all of the government agencies. In the broader industry, we have translation technology companies, companies that create and sell CAT tools, computer-assisted translation tools, or terminology management systems. Those are also tools that people use and learn how to use in our program. We teach CAT tools, we teach terminology management tools, and we also teach localization tools, and all of those tools are created by large software companies, and they need people with backgrounds in translation and interpreting, with backgrounds in languages generally, to be able to better develop and also sell their products. And finally, and if I had more time, I would continue to talk, but I don't have a lot of time, so I just wanted to close with this very broad area of career possibilities. And it's something I called content management. Okay, so companies and institutions are now in a situation where they have to manage a whole lot of data. And who do they need? They need people who understand language, because the data is being used for many, many different things. So they need terminologists, they need taxonomists, they need ontologists, they need people who understand language and also knowledge, knowledge knowledge building and knowledge structuring. So they need to understand how to structure knowledge. And of course, one of the big areas where they need these skills is in the area of AI development. So this is not an exhaustive list of where you could go with your background in translation and interpreting, but it's just kind of an initial list of broad-based possibilities.
Thank you, Patricia, for showing all those amazing and possible career directions. Thanks. So before we move on to the second part, so this is the part for the program overview. Any questions before we move on to the second part? So maybe, yeah, we'll start with the second part. So for the application process, right, I should be okay for a while. If I start coughing, I will pass it on to you again. Thanks. Yeah. So for the application process, I'm going to talk about the admission requirements, the application deadlines, and some application instructions. And the last one be the final QA session for today's presentation. So for admission requirements, we follow the graduate college requirements. Those are the minimum requirements. So to join the graduate college, you need to have at least a bachelor's degree. So for our program, it doesn't matter what area you are from. I mean, it doesn't matter your background. You can. So I receive a lot of inquiries about, okay, I have a bachelor's degree in, let's say, environment studies. Can I join the program? I have a bachelor's degree in geography or something. Can I join the program? So it's not a problem for us as long as you have a bachelor's degree. And the most important one is the program requirement at the bottom. If you have good command in English and another non-English language. So like I always share with the prospective students, we have our current students or previous students or alumni. They have various backgrounds, like from, we used to, I remember we had one who was holding a PhD in chemistry. And currently we have a student who's holding a PhD in psychology, counseling psychology, all the different areas. So yeah, so as long as you have a bachelor's degree and your GPA is above 3, normally we will look at the last 2 years of your undergraduate study. If your GPA, especially for the last 2 years, is above 3, yeah, you should be eligible to apply. And the third one, the minimum requirement from the grad college is for international students. That say if language is not your native language and you are an international student, you will need to provide your English language proficiency test reports. I will talk about that in the next two slides. So beside the three minimum requirements, our program has one specific requirement, that is your good command of English and another language. And this language should be the one we can support, the one like I listed at the beginning of the program overview. So those are admission requirements. So for further information, you can just check our website. We have, you go to the admission information, there should be admission requirements listed very clearly there. And specifically for international students, as we mentioned just now, for the English language proficiency, the grad college for now, they accept TOEFL, IELTS, and Duolingo. So for TOEFL, it should be TOEFL IBT, and I think the new one is TOEFL IBT Home Edition is acceptable as well. The minimum score requirement is 103. It has to be, the minimum has to be 103. And for IELTS, it's 7.5, the overall score for IELTS, and it's IELTS academic, not the general one. So for Duolingo, it has to be about 135. But if you're planning to do like teaching assistant, so Duolingo is not enough. You have to provide TOEFL or IELTS. The bachelor's degree for international student, it has to be from a recognized institution abroad. So when you provide your credential, the graduate college will do the screening to see whether your degree is eligible as from a recognized institution. And there are some other like minimum requirements, which is based on the country where you're from, depends on the grading system. So it can be like 80 out of 100 or 15 out of 10. Depends on the different grading system in your country.
Want me to talk a little bit,
yeah.
Melody? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So we do 2 rounds of admissions, giving you plenty of chances to apply to the program. But we do have a preferred admissions deadline, which will be on December 1st. I guess this is actually something we need to change about the slides, Melody, because we're not actually going to offer a merit scholarship. Yeah. So really, these are just kind of deadlines for letting you know and allowing you to plan for the future. You should go ahead if you want that reasonable assurance of what you're going to be doing next year, then you might want to go ahead and apply for the December 1st deadline. Otherwise, you might want to hold off and wait until March 1st. After March 1st, we may continue to consider complete applications files if space in the program persists, and chances are there will be plenty of space in the program. So you're more than welcome to apply up till March 1st. And, you know, if things go awry and you're not able to get the application in on time, just go ahead and reach out to Melody. But we hope to, for our planning purposes, it also really helps us to know how things are going. So we encourage you to apply by December 1st. The links will be available through Melody will make the links available. So you'll apply on our graduate college website at the University of Illinois. You don't really send the materials directly to us. However, of course, we will review those materials in the program, but you use the instruments that are provided by the graduate college. So we ask you to please either select either the application for the online program or the one for the campus-based program. So that is a determination that you need to make sooner than later about which program. Well, it's the same program as I said before, but which mode, whether it's online or campus-based. And then once the application is filed and you've completed all the documents that are necessary, and yet there are multiple steps and there's multiple documents you need to make sure to upload, we do get partial applications, and typically Melody will reach out to someone and say, we need to get X, Y, and Z document from you in order to be able to fully process. That's the service that we provide. But at that point, once we have everything from you, we will go ahead and schedule an interview. And these interviews will take place online. And it'll be an interview in English and one other language for applicants who meet the minimum requirements of admission. So we'll do an early screening to make sure that you have met the minimum requirements for admission. And at that point, we would go ahead and schedule this interview. In the interview, we speak with you in English and in that one other language about topics related to your interests in the program, for example, and what it is that you want to accomplish by coming to the University of Illinois and pursuing this degree. And we do everything possible to make sure that we accommodate language needs. But if it's not a core language of the department, or that is to say, if it's not one of the core languages of the program that we can cover with our faculty members, it may take us an additional time to find someone who can fit your language needs. And unfortunately, we can't necessarily guarantee that we will find such a person, but we will do our level best to find language accommodation. So your application instructions are as follows. The application package will include, this is what you need to provide for us, right? You need to find 3 letters of recommendation. Of course, provide your resume. You'll need to provide your transcripts. If you're coming from a place that where those transcripts won't be in English, then it's up to you to provide an English translation of the transcripts. And then, of course, the different language scores. You can kind of select those options that Melody spoke of before. And there will be a program essay. So, of course, we'll want to read a little bit about your interests, why you want to join the program, and that sort of thing. That essay might look like this, for example. The prompt, the Translation and Interpreting Program essay, you must write an additional short essay in the non-English language in which you're most proficient, and your essay should be about 250 to 375 words long. So that's where we assess your written language skills in the language other than English. So that's something else that our particular program requires. That's not a general requirement at the University of Illinois, but for reasons that you can understand, we want to see your writing ability in the language that you choose, right? That is to say, the language that you'll be specializing in during your program of study here.
Thank you so much for your help, Ryan. I think that's all the information we have today. I mean, the presentation part for the program information, also the application progress. And then will be the Q&A session. So feel free to raise any questions you have about the program or about the application process. Looks like we don't have any questions so far.
Any questions, anyone? Of course, you're always welcome to reach out to us. You're welcome to reach out to Melody. She'll get to you probably the quickest of anybody, but you're welcome to reach out to me. I'm sure any of the faculty members, if there's an area specialization that you're interested in, you're welcome to reach out to faculty members as well. If that's by email, if that's your preference, that's probably one of the quickest ways we can do that.
Okay, so so thank you all for joining us today. Thanks. The recording will be available by tomorrow. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and I will send the link to everyone registered for the event. Thank you for joining us today for the webinar. Thanks.
Thank you, Melody.
Thank you for help, Ryan. Thanks. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.